Also, we've got investors digesting the minutes from the Federal Reserve's January meeting, which were released just moments ago, and our Fed correspondent, Brian Cheung, joining us now for that. Brian, I'm taking a look at the numbers here. I guess we bounced off our lows of this session, but doesn't seem to be too terribly market moving.
No, not at all, Alexis. And for what it's worth, that's because the decision on January 27th, which these minutes that were just released covered, was a pretty uneventful meeting as well. The Federal Reserve holding interest rates steady at near zero in that meeting 3 weeks ago. The big question in that meeting was whether or not the Federal Reserve was going to announce anything on its quantitative easing program. Again, that pace of $120 billion a month in U.S. Treasuries and agency mortgage-backed securities. The minutes highlighting that in that meeting, the participants, quote, judged that it was likely to take some time for the Federal Reserve to hit its road marks, which what they call substantial further progress before they start using the T word, tapering, to maybe bring that $120 billion a month pace down a little bit more. Now, on a number of other fronts, some interesting bits from the minutes, they did see some upside risks in the future, showing a little bit of green shoots for the possibility of maybe an economy that can get hot again. There were some members that noted that fiscal policy could turn out to be more expansionary than anticipated, in addition to a greater willingness to spend coming from that post-pandemic snap, in addition to maybe faster easing of social distancing. So they're being aware of the fact that GDP could be quite higher than their original estimates, but not necessarily saying that this is a cause for removal accommodation, because as we know, it was a unanimous decision to keep interest rates near zero. And one last thing I want to point out here, you'll recall that in that meeting, that was when the GameStop stock was really starting to run up as the WallStreetBets community was getting a lot of steam. Apparently, that did ease into the discussion that the Federal Reserve had in that meeting. There was a small bit in the minutes that said, quote, regarding asset valuations, some participants commented that equity valuations had risen further, that initial public offering activity was elevated, or that valuations might have been affected by retail investors trading through electronic platforms, end quote. That's all we got from the FOMC minutes with regards to GameStop. That's the most we're going to get out of the Fed until we see the transcripts from this meeting in about 5 years. But worth noting that that was part of that discussion in that January 26, 27 meeting. Alexis?
Yeah, hard to see how it couldn't be, right? But curious to see what else they might have said about it. Before we let you go, I always marvel and admire that guitar hanging up over your left shoulder. Do you ever take it down and play it, Brian?
You know, I might do that in the next FOMC meeting. I can do a little bit of a Pink Floyd on there, so maybe I'll give that a shot.
Oh, we are not going to let that go. We are going to remember that. All right, thanks a lot, Brian.